I've seen a lot of online discourse from women lamenting that men don't yearn anymore. What happened to men yearning?
That's a thing on the internet. The girls are saying men don't yearn anymore.
Well, I'm here to tell you that I do yearn. I yearn for beef stroganoff. So rich and tasty that I'm still thinking about it the next day. I yearn for curry so good that I don't know if the tears streaming down my face are from the spice or if they're tears of joy. I yearn for a French onion soup that transports me to the picturesque cobblestone streets of Paris. I yearn for great food. Unfortunately, the restaurant scene is a friggin' turd fest these days. I never used to consider myself a foodie. I've always cared about getting good food at restaurants, but I was never real judgmental about it. Well, guess what? I am now. I judge the hell out of some restaurant food now. I've been radicalized into becoming a foodie because it seems as though food, much like everything these days, is getting worse. And I don't go to restaurants blind. I search for places that have the best reviews online to make sure I'm getting bang for my buck, or places that are famous among locals for being the best pizza in the city, or the best burger in the city, the best hot dog in the city, which, I don't know, is there stiff competition for hot dogs? And for the most part, the food I get isn't bad, but it is, as the kids like to say, mid. Just so mid. The most aggressively middle of the mid, Malcolm in the mid food I've ever had. And I feel like it didn't used to be like this. In the past, it was rare for me to have a meal that was, this hat isn't working for me, is it? I'm just not a fedora guy. I mean, yeah, it's a sick hat. It brings the friggin' house down, but it's just not me. I don't know. Maybe I should try another hat. Maybe a top hat. I could go for like a modern Abraham Lincoln kind of thing, you know? Definitely something to think about. Anyway, in the past, it was rare for me to have a restaurant meal that was mid, but now it feels almost unavoidable. Sometimes I get food from a highly rated restaurant and I'm like, am I at the wrong place? Maybe they have multiple locations and I'm at the bad location? Nope, it's the right location. That's just the food. And the reviews online will be glowing. The food here is delicious. Compared to what? What do you normally eat that makes this food delicious in comparison? SpaghettiOs? The fake fruit that people have on their dining room tables? If you think this is delicious, you need to get your tongue checked. So yummy! That's what they say if it's a woman or a gay guy. They say yummy. Straight guys don't say yummy. You never hear a straight guy go, oh, these hot wings are so yummy. Yummy in my tummy, bruh. The exception is if it's a straight guy talking to kids about food. Then you might hear it. It's just something I've noticed. And I thought the food situation would be better when I moved to Chicago a couple years ago, because Chicago is famous for its food scene. If there's ever a discussion about US cities with the best food, Chicago always gets mentioned. So I came here expecting great things. And look, I like Chicago a lot, but the food? Are you kidding me, dude? In the couple years I've been here, I've only been to a handful of restaurants that I thought were really solid. Everything else I've tried is mid. I've had food where I put the first bite in my mouth and I actually think, are you shitting me? At a certain point, I was like, this is a prank, right? I'm being pranked. You don't actually think the food here is great. Ah, you got me. Maybe I'm just super unlucky and going to these restaurants when they're having an off day or something. I don't know. I've had restaurant food that was worse than a frozen meal I could buy at the grocery store. In fact, I'm not making this up. Maybe the best meal I've had here in Chicago is a frozen dinner that I buy from a Korean grocery store. And it's $6? Now, to be fair, it's an unusually good frozen dinner, but still, why is it so much better than typical restaurant food? Average restaurant food should be better than the best frozen meals from the grocery store. And I'm not a fan of frozen meals. I think most of them suck ass. And also, the lows of frozen food are way lower than the lows of restaurant food. I bought some lo mein from the frozen food aisle recently, and man, it was atrocious. I was actually dreading each bite. I only ate half of it and threw the rest in the trash. And it was so bad, my trash can threw it back out at me. I wouldn't even give that lo mein to my worst enemy, Dr. Carnage. My standard for restaurant food now is it should be at least as good as something I could make at home. Because I do cook sometimes, I can follow a recipe, but I'm not a great cook, and I'm not using high quality ingredients either. You know how I choose what ingredients to buy? I start by looking at the cheapest brand on the shelf, and then I buy that. I don't get the premium stuff. I get the paprika that's so cheap, it's like probably not even real paprika, you know? It's like wood shavings that they dyed red. I buy cheap discounted meat that's probably 30% horse brains. There's like not even a brand on the packaging, you know? It just says meat? Question mark? I will say, there is one ingredient I splurge on to get the premium stuff, and that's marinara sauce. Marinara sauce made with whole tomatoes and not just tomato paste is way better. It costs 3 times as much, it's 3 times as good, at least in my opinion. That is one ingredient I'm a total snob about. Don't come at me with this ragu and Prego crap. You're gonna use Prego in your spaghetti? Buddy, you use whole tomato sauce, it's so good, it's gonna make you Prego. I don't know what that means, but it's tasty. But besides that, I'm telling you, I buy the cheapest crap they got at the grocery store. And yet, the stuff I make tastes better than a lot of the restaurant food out there. Even some of the ethnic food I make tastes better than what I get at restaurants. Excuse me, Mexican restaurant, why do my enchiladas taste better than yours? Excuse me, Indian restaurant, why does my chicken tikka masala taste better than yours? How can that be? I'm a white person. One of the most prevalent stereotypes about me is that my food has no flavor. I shouldn't be able to make your food better than you do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up my own restaurant called Jason's Ethnic Food. And the logo on the storefront is just gonna be my dumb white face smiling and giving a thumbs up. Just, oh. And the slogan for Jason's Ethnic Food is gonna be, I make it better than they do. And people who see it are gonna go, oh my God, that's so offensive. Yeah, that's the point. I hope it's so offensive that actual ethnic restaurants step up their game and put me out of business with their superior food. I want their food to be so much better than mine that it makes me look like a moron. Because I know they can. I've had lots of great ethnic restaurant food over the years. Just not recently. Apparently London has a banger food scene right now. Maybe all the good food has migrated over there. I keep seeing people talk about how great the food scene is over there now that it has more ethnic variety, I guess. Which is crazy because Britain used to be famous for its bad food. They'd be like, yeah, so this is one of our classic British cuisines. It's a raw fish head in a bowl of water. It's called the Queen's Glory. Now, I'll admit, some dishes are harder to replicate at home. I've tried my hand at cooking things that didn't turn out as good as even the mediocre restaurant version. Even common stuff like General Tso's chicken that you can get at any Americanized Chinese restaurant. I've tried to make that at home. Not even close. So for some types of food, even the mid-restaurant stuff is better than a recipe that you can find online. And you know, maybe I wouldn't be so incensed if eating out wasn't so expensive. Is the entire country an airport now? Because judging by the price of food, you'd think so. Restaurant food has gotten stupidly expensive. This much food could be literally $20. Even appetizers are expensive. I'm paying $15 to get started? Of course, some restaurants are worse than others. There was a popular Reddit post last year showing a San Francisco restaurant's menu with insane prices before they eventually went out of business. Wife's tuna melt, $28. Sausage and berries, $29. Are these names suggestive sounding on purpose? Hey, could I do a combo order of sausage and berries and your wife's tuna melt? Classic grilled cheese, $22. Smash burger, $30. What's in that burger? The Krabby Patty secret formula? Actually, in SpongeBob, a Krabby Patty is only $1.25. If they can sell good food at an affordable price in a cartoon, you can do it in real life. And that's an airtight argument. I'm not totally against high-priced food. All I ask is that if you're gonna charge those crazy prices, that food better be banging. You're gonna charge me $30 for a burger? Not to be crass, but that burger better suck my tongue's dick. You get what I'm saying? I'd love to munch on your wife's tuna melt, but for $28, it better rock my world. But if you want me to spend $28 on a decent sandwich? No. Expensive food must slap. I'm not paying $40 for a lasagna if they got Chef Boyardee running the kitchen. And then you got food delivery apps. Between the high price of food, the app fees, and the tip for the delivery person, it's out of control. Look at this. I did a test order for a burger. The total came out to $31.60 with no side. And that's with the lowest suggested tip of 15%. And this is in Chicago. This isn't San Francisco, the most expensive city in the country. I mean, that is just Roblox_oof.mp3. Oh, that's a file I'm supposed to play. And look, this particular burger is $19. Not every burger here is that expensive. But I made this order on a pretty popular restaurant. And even if you skip the delivery apps and do a pickup order, they still want you to tip? On a pickup order? I walked 15 minutes in 7-degree weather and almost slipped on ice and cracked my head open to get here. You should be tipping me! I used to be more forgiving about the declining quality of restaurant food. I thought, okay, the economy's rough, restaurants, they got bills to pay, ingredients are more expensive, they gotta cut corners and skimp on quality here and there. Then I thought, wait a minute, like I said earlier, when I cook at home, I'm a cheap ass. I'm also cutting corners to reduce costs, and I'm still making better food for 10% of the price. And it's crazy to me that even with increased prices, restaurants still go out of business so much. They say 30% of restaurants close within 3 years and about 50% close within 5 years. And you know, I don't know much about economics, And neither do economists, am I right, folks? But to my uninformed brain, it's kind of astonishing that so many restaurants go out of business, especially dine-in restaurants with waitstaff. I've never run a restaurant, I might be talking out of my ass here, but tell me I'm not the only one who's wondered about this. At a typical restaurant, the waitstaff is mostly paid by tips from customers, right? So the restaurant has offloaded the entire cost of their waitstaff onto the customers, and they still go out of business? How? The owners aren't paying for half of the employees working for them. That's not enough of a cost reduction for a business to survive? Dude, the profit margins for restaurants must be crazy thin. I remember there was a small restaurant near where I used to live. The food was good, it had great reviews, it was popular, and when the pandemic hit, they stopped doing dine-in. The owner reduced her menu down to one dish per week, and it was a dish of her choice. And she didn't seem to have any shortage of customers. She would put out a post on social media saying, if you want food this week, you gotta, sign up by this date. And then there'd be a follow-up post a couple days later saying, hey, all the spots are taken. If you want food, you gotta wait till next week. Guess what happened to that restaurant 4 months later? It went out of business. One dish per week of the owner's choice to a consistent customer base. I can't think of a more cost-efficient model for running a restaurant than that. Is it literally impossible to keep a restaurant going? Now, personally, even if I am not a fan of the food at a restaurant, I don't leave a negative review. It goes against my code. And you know what?
A man got to have a code.
I know restaurants live and die by their reviews online, so as a rule, I never leave a negative review unless they truly deserve it. Like, for example, if I ask the cute waitress for her number and she rejects me. Oh, there's a 1-star coming your way. I'm kidding, I don't do that. There would have to be something really bad, like a rat in my sandwich. In fact, I don't think I've ever left a negative review for a restaurant, so I guess this video is my way of asking restaurants to please make better food. Hey, if you want to see me rant about something else, check out this video. I do yearn. I yearn for your wife's tuna melt.